All right, welcome back to another Money Not Math conversation. Today we're having a conversation with local business owner Tevin Moreno, Moreno Dental Services, correct?
That's right.
All right, perfect. So to get us kicked off, first of all, thanks for anyone who watches or listens to this conversation. As always, if you like the conversation, please like and share it to share with a friend. More people will see it and support Tevin's business. Also, please comment if you have questions for Devin or myself or requests for future Money Not Math conversations. With that being said, let's jump in. Tevin, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and
Yeah.
your business?
Yeah. So born and raised from Thief River, in a small town called Rosewood. It's over by Viking there. I'm not sure if you know where it's at,
I did
but
not
you know
know
where
that.
Viking is.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So it's about 15 minutes away from, well, about 10, 15 minutes away from Thief River Falls on a small farm. Um, and Rosewood, I don't know, it used to be a town at one point. It had a church and a bank. Now somebody actually lives in the bank, and there's the vault is still there.
That'd
The
be cool.
the church, yeah, it's cool. The church building is still there, but it's a small town, and I grew up on a farm. We had pigs, we had cattle, Angus beef, and I just grew up in a farming family, and I knew that I didn't want to farm forever because of that experience. It was such hard work.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard work. And so I decided to take it upon myself to go to school, and I went to Northland here for a year.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I was driving bus at that time. You remember that?
I did not know that.
I was a
No.
bus driver in Beaver Falls.
Oh, that's cool. So what for like the school buses or
Yeah,
what
the school
buses?
bus, the school district. So Pennington County, 564, I think is what it is.
They could desperately use you now. They are still
Well,
really
yeah,
short.
I wish I still had my license. No, but I think I was the youngest bus driver in Minnesota because I was 18. I graduated high school at 17.
Oh wow.
And then
Okay.
I got my CDL, my Class B, and immediately started driving bus. And then I went to Northland, and I would drive kids to school, take the bus to Northland, go to class. I'm not even kidding. And then I would drive. I'd get done. I'd go pick up kids at 2:45 from Challenger, and then I would do my route and I'd go home.
That's awesome.
That was 2011. That was all of 2011 and 2012. Yeah.
That you had by far the best ride to school then.
Oh man, you know what's crazy too? I got to drive the route that I grew up on.
That is so ironic.
So I knew it like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
I knew it.
So
I knew all the stops.
starting with fun facts. First, that's awesome. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Second, Tevin and I actually went to school together.
Yep.
So um I'm envisioning you just pulling up to class in the yellow bus. That's
Oh, it
awesome.
was
So
great. Yeah, I'd park in the back. Yeah,
that's really cool
it
you did
was,
that
yeah.
though. So tell us a little bit more. So you graduated high school, drove bus for a year,
Oh yeah,
went to
and then
Northland, then what?
I went to St. Cloud State University for 4 years, and then I worked in oral surgery as an assistant for 2.5, 3 years. And that's where I got to see like what dentistry was all about and like what oral surgery could do for people. And I was like, I knew I'd always wanted to become a dentist. The challenge was it's so competitive to get in. I didn't know how I was going to do it.
Okay.
And so then after working in oral surgery, I went to like a special master's program, completed that, and then I applied to dentistry and I got in after my second attempt. So
Wow, good for
yeah,
you.
it took, I don't know, I think I've been in school for since 2011, a long time.
Yeah.
And I just graduated here in 23 of May. And then we started this process up with starting a practice in Thief River. That was a long process. It was so long. We wanted to be open in June and it just wasn't going to happen. So we finally opened up here in November.
Wow. So you graduated in May and you were hoping to be open by in June, and then
Yeah.
you opened in
I
November.
had
So
started planning this my junior year, and it takes longer than you think. And then the financial burden and getting all your ducks in a row, it was more than I thought it was going to be.
well, congratulations to you for your efforts. That's a
Yeah.
lot of school. I mean, 2011 to 2013, that's 12 years of school to get a degree that,
23, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you did it the fastest route possible. What's the minimum amount of
Well,
years to
8 years
get?
for sure.
Okay,
If you
so
want
eight would be the minimum, and you did
yep.
13 to get there,
Oh God.
busting your, or 12 to
Yeah,
busting your
12.
butt off.
Yep. And then because I had applied to dental school one time and didn't get in, and that really put me down. But then actually when you get in, you find out everyone that applied like didn't get into their second time.
Okay.
Like it's so competitive, and it's like one of the most competitive programs to get in now. Like for example, yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome.
It's
Well,
crazy.
again, congrats on your
Yeah.
resiliency, because it'd be a lot easier to give up at any point
Yeah, I
during
know.
those 12 years.
I was thinking about becoming a nurse. Like I didn't know what to do because I had just been chasing this dream for so long.
when you said you knew forever you want to be a dentist, so that does include high school you knew
Yeah, you
anything?
remember when we did our eighth grade career projects?
Yep.
I had did dentist.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Good
and
for
you know
you.
how yeah, we went to school there. You made a
Yep.
board,
Yep,
and then
yep,
you had to like present it to the
yep,
class.
yep. Mine was an FBI agent,
Oh, was
so
it?
I didn't pursue that
I
route,
think you
but
were required to pick two careers, and then you had to present on one. The other one I did was I think it was a police or something like
that's
that.
cool.
Yeah, police officer.
And what did you study at St. Cloud?
I got 2 degrees, so I got a biomedical science major and then a chemistry degree as well.
Nice.
And so they kind of go hand in hand. It sounds impressive, but really it's like you take a couple extra classes, and because they're so close, you just
Right.
get them both.
A lot of overlap.
Yeah, I mean almost entirely overlapped. So
Nice.
yeah.
And now with your business in town here, where are you located?
We are located next to Northern St. Bank. We're at 318 Libria Avenue North.
Okay,
And so I actually live only like 5 blocks away from that as well.
that's convenient.
Oh, it's so convenient. Yeah, it's so
We
convenient.
can walk to our
Oh,
office in
yeah.
about 10 minutes, right?
Yeah, I mean, I should start walking this summer because yeah, it's better for me.
So how many people can you see? How many beds do you have? What's your business
Yeah,
structure look like?
yeah. So dentistry is well mapped out, and it has been for a number of years, especially for general dentistry. Um, that building that I bought was an abandoned dental office, and it has 6 operatories, of which I will use 2 to 3, and then ideally it's nice to have 2 to 3 dental hygiene. However, right now we just have one, and we're looking for more. But that's been the biggest struggle. And so I can see on average, if we had a fully staffed team, we could probably see close to, I don't know, 30 people a day, maybe.
Okay,
If we're, up and running and going well. Right now, we're probably seeing with one hygiene and myself, we're probably seeing like 12 patients a day, maybe, something
okay.
like that, you know.
Is that a good number? I mean, you comfortable with that, or would you like to shoot for more?
It's a great number, but there's always room for improvement. Actually, yeah, I mean, it all depends on where you want to do it. You can do so many things in dentistry. You could see one patient a day and make more money than seeing 30 patients a day. Like it all depends on what you're doing.
Okay,
Like full mouth rehabilitation is 50 to $60,000 per patient. So it's like
wow,
so there's prosthodontists that will see 4 patients a month, and they will make more than the general dentist here and all of them in town. You know what I
wow.
mean? It's so it all depends on what your specialty is, what you're good at, and what services you're providing. And so, yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. Like an oral surgeon will do. I don't know. They're just impressive. The oral surgery office that I was working for, each oral surgeon was probably doing like $2.5 million a year,
Wow.
and they were working 4 days a week.
Wow. So
Yeah,
that, okay,
and it's banker's hours.
they had figured it out, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, like all the specialties of dentistry are so well mapped out. You just gotta follow what's been done for so long, and it really not much has changed.
Really?
I mean, and not much can change because you can't automate anything. I mean, you can't automate any of the physical work
Right.
because everything's done with your hands.
Right.
You know,
Right.
the dentistry's come a long way in the sense that the technology's come so great. You can get the achieved outcome quicker and faster, but
Right.
the amount of work that needs to go into it, roughly the same.
And the specialty with your hands and things like that, right?
Yeah, almost everything has to be done with the doctor's hands. There's really legally and physically, there's really no way around it.
And then this may be super obvious in the dental world, but it's just popped in my head. They say like a person's bite is unique, just like DNA or your
Yeah,
fingerprint, right? So it's not you could just automate how to fix.
no, not at all. And you know what's crazy? History is very interesting. Back in the day, they used to equilibrate everyone's bite because they believed that it would solve a lot of people's problems. And now we don't do that anymore because it was like, wow, what a mess that was.
They were trying to make everyone's bite the same.
Yeah, they were trying to make everyone's bite ideal because everyone has such a unique bite,
Mhm.
and that was such a failure for a long time. And now, I mean, so much has come out of things that have so much has come out of things
Sorry.
from previous lessons in time in the medical field for sure. Like for jaw surgery, if you had TMJ or jaw pain, they would just replace the entire joint. And now that's like, yeah, right. It's so frowned upon. They don't do those types of things anymore.
Right.
You know?
Well, I think one of the most fascinating things I ever learned, I only studied science for a brief moment in school, but was that even the two halves of your face aren't identical. Like
Yeah, I
everyone's
mean,
face is
yeah.
one side
Oh,
different
for
than the other.
sure.
So to try to make a bite
Yeah,
perfectly
yeah.
identical doesn't make any
No,
sense.
for sure. The teeth kind of just lie where they lie. Um, but it's tough too, because in my line of work, the dental literacy in this area is really low. And to spend the amount of time that you need to spend to educate the patient to make the right decision. It's more than other areas for sure.
Okay,
And the hard thing, at least at my clinic, is I want to give you all the options. I'm going to tell you all the options, and I'm not going to make the decision for you. You have to make that decision for yourself because I feel like a lot of dentistry done, corporate dentistry, the decision is just made by the doctor, and the options really not necessarily given to the patient. They just kind of go through the ropes.
okay,
And so I feel I can go to bed at night comfortably if you know the options, the pros and cons to each one, and you make the decision for yourself instead of me just telling you, oh, you need this because of this.
that makes sense.
Bye. We'll see
Yeah,
you. We'll see you in the schedule next week.
right,
And
right,
so, it's interesting to see that played out. A lot of times patients, especially in this area, they just want to correct the problem. We call them periodic patients. They come in when they need to, when there's pain, and they don't come in anytime else. And that's usually not very good for the patient because what ends up happening, is you see the patient for these problems and you don't get a full scope of the everything that's going on, and you just treat one thing at a time. And usually what ends up happening is they just want to pull one tooth at a time, and
right,
eventually there's nothing left. And it's such a costly fix in the end. And the patient ends up losing every time. And that's very hard. That's what I'm seeing primarily. And we're trying to get patients to come in for an
right,
exam. It's hard for me to tell you what you need. I can't tell you you need to put $1,200 towards this tooth when I know that there's other areas in the mouth that would benefit so much more from splitting that 1,200 versus just one problem. And so I make them come in for an exam so I can get a full scope.
right,
Otherwise, the patient loses every time.
right. You're trying to, even though, if I heard everything you just said, even though it would be a lot more efficient for your business to just do the same thing for everyone and not, and kind of give them
Yeah,
one option, by giving them multiple options, one, you're giving them a choice, but also two, you're trying to treat the whole mouth issue, not just
yeah.
like
Oh man,
the
it's
one
so
issue
it's
they
so
talk.
complex. Yeah, it's so complex in the sense that I want to correct your problem today. You're coming to me and you're paying for an exam because you have pain. What can I do for you? Let me give you your options. Even if you choose an option, you still have, I take a quick scope and I look at everything in the mouth. I see that you have other areas here that are of concern that are going to be a problem for you later.
Right,
I can fix them now for cheaper. Come in for an exam, let me see what's going on. And, maybe this tooth that we're thinking about saving isn't really worth saving because there isn't a tooth that you're biting on. It has an opposing tooth against it.
right,
And so I don't know, the big picture is key. And some patients just don't want, they just want to come in for periodic care, which is, it's tough because the quality of life for that patient is like vastly diminished
right.
when they choose that route. So it's hard. A lot of educating.
Yeah,
Tons
absolutely.
of educating.
Absolutely. But it's cool that I mean, I respect the approach you're coming at and trying to do what's best for the client, not just get him in, get him
Yeah,
out,
and
make as
it's
much money as
crazy too.
possible
I
as
have a lot
quickly
of
as possible.
classmates right now who are in corporate dentistry, and they are just getting burnt out because, like the conversation we're having earlier, corporate dentistry is backed by private investors. Private investors have one interest.
The bottom line.
Yeah, the bottom line.
Profits. Yeah.
My classmates that I've graduated with, they're doing great work. However, they're being brought back into the office and saying, "Hey, we need you to do more." And then they're going and they're saying, "Well, there's no more work for me to do. Like I've done all the work that I need. Well, we want you to push this." And it's like, well, then you're becoming more of a salesman
Right.
versus like a healthcare provider. And the same thing is when you talk to doctors in the medical field, there are problems in the health industry like that as well. It's just private healthcare for medical had died a long time ago, you know,
Okay.
and dentistry hasn't. And
Hmm.
so private practice dentistry, as the owner, you get to make those decisions for
Right.
yourself, and nobody can tell you what to do.
Yeah. No, I can relate to that. Yeah. Like
Well,
you said,
nobody can tell you what
the
to do.
difference between having the big, Uncle Sam or whatever
Yeah.
you want to call him looking over your shoulder asking you
I
what
would
you're
say
doing
private
versus
investors, because
right.
they're the ones who
Right. They don't see the patient, they just see the
they
numbers.
push the memos.
Yeah.
So.
So what about being a dentist is your favorite thing, or what do you enjoy
Oh
most about being a
God.
dentist?
That's really interesting because I think, and it's changed so much as I've gotten to this point. I used to, God, let's see here. I wanted to become a dentist because I liked science. I had such a passion for science. But now that I am a dentist, the passion for science is sure that's there, but this path has opened up so many other doors that I didn't know were like available. And so now I have new passions. I want to become better at this because if I become better at this, I can help so many other people with this problem. And I don't have to send you to Fargo or send you to Grand Forks where specialty care is more expensive. We can just do it in house. because I'm taking the time to study on Saturdays or study an hour each night each week and learn these techniques so you don't have to go and do them. I feel like a lot of general dentists, they just get comfortable, and that's fine too. I mean, it all depends on what you want in life. You get comfortable in doing what you're doing, and you like the numbers that you see, and you want to have good work-life balance, and you want to spend time with the family. That's totally fine. But that early in my career right now, that's just not where I want to be.
Okay.
And so we are doing specifically, we are doing a ton of implants, a ton of implants. During my last year at University of Minnesota, I split my time between Minnesota, Las Vegas, and New Jersey.
Okay,
So
interesting.
I would fly to each one of those cities every month for a year to learn how to place implants and become accredited as an associate fellow in implant dentistry. And I think we're the only dentist or private practice in town that's placing implants.
Okay,
And I purposely made the implants cheaper than Grand Forks by a nice amount because one, patients don't want to drive to Grand Forks for multiple visits repeatedly. And we're right in the center of downtown, and we can do it for much less.
nice. If I heard you right, you and what you enjoy most about dentistry is
Oh
not
God,
only
my
what you
hand
currently
is.
do, but learning more things that to in
Yeah,
more
I
ways to
mean,
help more
the
people.
passion right now is just burning. Like there's so much I can learn and that I'm trying to learn to provide. And yeah, it's when you get out of school, you had the passion was as high as it's ever going to be,
Mhm.
right? That's where I'm at right now.
That's good.
And
Good
the
for you.
crazy thing is I was able to open up my own practice and I get to make my own rules.
Right.
No one has told me I couldn't do
Right.
this,
Good for you.
which is how it usually works.
Yeah.
No, you can't do this because
Yeah.
I want you to do this cookie cutter thing. I want you to do
This
this.
is just the way it's always been done, so you're gonna keep doing it this way.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
yep.
exactly.
Makes
So
sense.
make their own rules.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is money, not math. So from a financial standpoint, what's maybe the biggest financial lesson you've learned, whether it's
Oh
during
God.
from your professional career thus far?
I mean, definitely being able to do what I want has showed me that from a financial standpoint, patience really appreciate when you give them the option. For example, just today, patient was given the second opinion. Patient wanted to know if they really needed to have a crown on this tooth. And I'm like, well, I'll give you your options. You can have a crown on this tooth. It's probably the best thing for it. However, you can also do this cheaper route where we can just do a filling, but you need to know the consequences in doing so. And they really appreciate that you took the time, and you spent like 20, 30 minutes doing it. And it from an ROI standpoint, it's not worth your time. But I own my own practice. I can do what I want, right? I don't need to show anybody that I'm not making the numbers. And they really appreciated that. And they come back to schedule for more treatment. And so the payout is there. It's just maybe not as immediate as uh a corporate office would like to see. Yeah, and then the same thing is too, like, I'm not trying to make a ton of money. However, money is helping me achieve my education goals and purchasing, XYZ for becoming a better practice in Thief River. So I don't know, doing the right thing it's definitely paying off financially.
Good,
For sure.
good.
No doubt about
And
it.
I forgot to ask earlier, you said if you had a full office or fully staffed, how many, you currently have how
Yeah.
many dental hygienists and how many more would be like a full staff?
Yeah, so I would like to have 3 hygienists. We have one right now. We definitely have built for having 3. And then we have 2 assistants, Mindy and Gretchen. They've been assistants for a long time. And then we have one front desk. So we have 5 employees, including myself. And I'm looking to get to 7.
Okay,
I
so
want,
two
I
more
need, I need 2
hygienists
more,
would be
yeah, for
ideal.
sure. And if we're busy enough, another front desk.
Right.
I mean, that's to come. It's definitely to come. I'm gonna be here for a long time, so.
Good, good. And I don't know if you want to share what you told me earlier about
Yeah.
potentially needing to like send people to school and things like that,
Yeah,
but it sounds like it's tough to find hygienists.
For sure. And like I was telling you before, you're not gonna find it's hard to get somebody to come from, there's only 2 schools that are close by, Wapaton, Fargo, Bemidji. It's hard to get those people to come to Thief River and live a life if they don't have no ties here. And so I think what we're gonna do is I was gonna reach out to either the TRF chit chat page or reach out to the school directly and ask high schoolers if they want to go to school. I'd be willing to pay for their education if they came back and served a certain amount of time per year that I paid for while they were in school. So
Nice.
I mean yeah, and I think I'll tell you what it's gonna be right now. Dental hygiene school is roughly 10,000 a year, 10 to 12. I'd pay for that every year, and then the salary that you would get when you came back, $45 to $50 an hour.
Wow.
And you work banker's hours, and you don't ever have to work Fridays.
Wow. So if you're looking for a career,
Yeah, like
you heard it here
the
first.
work-life balance, the work-life balance is pretty amazing. Like you get to
Yeah.
work at 8, You're done by 4:30. You don't have to work Fridays. You're never gonna work a weekend. You cannot take any of your work home with you because
That'd be weird.
like yeah.
To take a
I mean,
whole machine home.
it's and then to make right now, pay is $45, but in the next couple of years, it's only going to go up. So
Perfect. Well, good. If you're interested, definitely reach out.
I mean,
So
it's a killer deal. How do you not take it?
absolutely,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. If you're looking to get into that world or looking
Mm.
for an opportunity, that sounds like a great one.
Yeah.
So, what advice would you give your younger self, or someone who watches or listens to this video,
Oh God.
when it comes to whether it's your educational career, professional career, whatever, it can be anything under the sun, but just
For
generally,
sure.
what advice would you give your younger self or someone who
For
watches or listens to this
sure.
conversation?
I would have to say, so for a long time, I didn't think I was going to get into dental school. Imagine like where I started. I went to Northland College and I was like, man, how am I going to get to dental school by going to a junior community college? You know what I mean? Like a junior college. I didn't know the path. The path wasn't laid out for me. And I felt like when we were in school, I didn't really know what I was doing. Everyone was going to UND. You remember that?
UND or
A
Northland,
ton of
yeah,
people were going to
yeah.
UND. Some people NDSU, but I felt like a majority of our class went to UND. And I'm like, I don't know what these people are doing. What do I got to sign up for classes and do all this stuff? I had no clue about the process because I didn't know what I was doing. And so I had a lot of self-doubt. I didn't think I was ever going to get in. And then I met so many good mentors along the way. I got out of the environment of Thief River and met people I needed to meet to bring me to milestones that I didn't think I was going to achieve. And so I met some really strong teachers in undergrad at St. Cloud State. And then I met some, employers that were huge mentors and like, yeah, you can totally, this is an achievable goal. You can totally do this. Let me help you. And people have helped me all along the way to finally get to where I am here. So it's just been, and now that I've graduated, I feel like there's nothing that honestly I can't do.
Good for
Like
you.
in my domain of my career, it's like, if I want to do this, I know that it's achievable because I've already done like the hardest part. And so I feel like I'm on top of the world.
Good
And
for you.
so my biggest piece of advice would be you may think it's a huge hill to climb, but you have to do it in small steps. You can't just imagine yourself being from one to another because so much learning has to happen and so much time has to be taken to get to where you need to go. It's taken a long time, but yeah, holy cow.
That's really cool. And within that, I'm going to pull out a piece of advice I think you
Sure.
were giving indirectly is be willing to put yourself out there and ask for help, right? I
Oh,
mean,
for sure.
you
Yeah.
referenced multiple people that helped you along the way.
Oh, for sure. There's
If
no
you never
way.
struck that conversation, it never
Yeah.
would have
I think
happened.
I think in undergrad, one of the most difficult classes to take is organic chemistry. Um, Undergrad has a lot of courses which they weed out people that just are clearly not going to make it. And general chemistry, you remember general chemistry?
Yeah.
That's one of them for
Yeah.
sure. 50% of the class just drops out, and then the other half gets to go to organic chemistry. Again, organic chemistry 1, 200 people. Organic chemistry 2, 75 people. Like people just don't make it.
Right.
And for me to pass some of these courses, I was going to the professor's office like every day. Like for sure, I would meet with him every day to get to where I needed to be. And he shared so much with me because I was putting in the time. So if you put in the time, people notice this and they're willing to do things for you that they're not willing to do for others. And so, but you got to make yourself available.
Good for you.
You can't be the hermit that stays in and reads your book and doesn't ask for help. If you ask for help, they're people are going to help you.
Good for you, man. That's amazing advice, and I really respect the fact that you were vulnerable in sharing that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Don't get me wrong. There's people that are just. I've been to school with like some absolute geniuses. I don't know how they do it, but they do it without any help, and it's impressive. But it's far few and in between.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I went to school with somebody in dental school. He never got a point wrong on any exams in his dental school career, ever. And then during that time, the professor was like, "This hasn't happened in like 14 years, where nobody has scored any or has got any points marked on any of my exams." And he like brought out a book and gave it to him. But it was just they're out there, but they're obviously.
And the funny thing is
You
about the
know,
business world, the difference between school and life is that
oh, it's so
person
different. Yeah,
might have been perfect in school
yeah,
and might not be that good at what he does. I mean, I'm not saying he isn't.
yeah,
I'm just saying,
yeah.
but like Wayne Gretzky, the best hockey player in the world, doesn't mean he's a good coach, right?
Oh,
The
for sure,
students
for
aren't
sure.
always great. So it's funny how that works out.
Yeah,
But
but not everyone's like that. So
right, yep,
don't be ashamed of yourself for going asking for help because everyone does for
absolutely.
sure.
So this is not always an easy question and can go many different directions, but there's no wrong answer. What is your definition of being successful?
Oh man, if for sure, I think a lot of people think of it as like, oh, how much money do you want to have? I think because I've pondered these thoughts quite a bit. For success for me, I want to be able to achieve a skill level in which others don't have. And for me, I know this is a achievable goal that it's probably going to take 5 to 10 years to get to. And a perfect example of this is I would like to think of like Dr. Bray in town here. He's been practicing dentistry for I think of August, it was like, I don't know if it was 30 or 40 years. I think it was 40 years. He is so skilled. 40 years of skill.
Hmm.
He's a master.
Hmm.
I want to achieve, when I think of success, I think of 40 years of just rocking dentistry out and being perfect in every aspect. There's so many things to be perfect in, and that's what I think of as success. The money will come and the money will follow, but I want to be skilled at what I do because you could do poor dentistry and you can just live your life, but I want to be able to achieve I want to be an implant dentist. And for me to do that, it's probably going to take 5 to 10 years. And I'm starting now. We're doing implants right now.
Good for you.
And so it's, on a lot of the late nights with reading and stuff. A lot of people think, oh, you must be happy school's you're done with school. You have a bunch of free time. It's like, dude, there's so much reading that happens now that also happened in school. I feel like my wife's like, when are you ever going to be done? I'm like, I don't think we are going to be done. Like literature, the amount of literature that you have to put in to be good at something. Because you gotta know with all like the cutting edge things, like what doesn't work, what does work. They don't have the time to teach you this in school. And you can pay for courses that are thousands and thousands of dollars, but you gotta read and you gotta practice it yourself. And yeah, it seems like it's never gonna be ending.
Right. I'm a big
But
believer, just like trees, whether it's your health or your skills, you're growing or you're dying. You can't
yeah,
just sit stationary
yeah,
because
for
the world will
sure.
pass you by. Technology is going to pass you by if you don't keep
For
learning.
sure. And well, and then that too, like where do you find or how do you find your passion then if you're just looking at the money all the time?
Hmm.
That's going to be tough. And that's a lot of people. I like to think about this. It's a lot of people who don't have either a skill or a passion. They only have money to look to, and they're probably not happy, and they're trying to collect more and more of this when they're just living their life day by day. And it's like I don't know how people do it.
Yeah, it's crazy that I don't remember this exact statistics, but I remember learning in college that like the top like 1% or 5% of society has double the suicide and depression rate as the middle. It's like that's not a money issue, that's a value or a
Yeah,
passion issue or
for
a
sure,
a
for sure.
lifestyle issue. That's not
You
a
saying
money
the
issue.
top 1% has double the suicide rate?
And depression rate is like the
Oh,
middle.
really?
Yeah.
Wow. You'd think that they have a passion because that's where they've gotten.
But to your point,
Unless it's old money,
right, but if
you
your
know?
obsession is money, like
Oh,
where
for
when
sure.
you hit the
Yeah.
finish line,
Yeah, for
right?
sure.
If it's
Yeah.
not, so that's kind of it's an interesting. I'm sure there's a million different theories as to what causes that, and
Yeah.
we don't need to pretend like we're psychologists today. But
Right,
I always
right.
thought that was interesting that, and it tied in well to what you said about the passion side. So it sounds like your next 5 to 10 years are a little more clear than the last 5 to 10 years
For
on where you
sure.
want to
Yeah,
go.
I definitely know. And the hard thing is too, things are gonna change and it's hard to pick up the ball and pivot when you put so much time into something. Um, my staff has never done we do like big surgery cases where we will, somebody wants to rebuild their smile, we will take all the teeth, we'll make a giant incision where we open up, expose all the bone, we'll do bone remodeling and place implants and let them heal so we can come back in a couple months and we can place these fixed prostheses. Nobody in town is doing that.
Wow.
And the only person, well, I wouldn't say the only person, they're not doing the surgery. For
Okay.
sure, they're doing the prosthetic part where they go ahead and they restore the case, but the surgery, they're not doing it. And I think the closest place you can do it is Grand Forks.
Okay.
And I want to become proficient in that because it's such a you can really do some crazy stuff for people. Like you
Absolutely.
can just rebuild them from nothing.
Okay.
And their lives are changed. When you don't have teeth, your quality of life and your longevity of life is just so diminished. It's
Right.
it's terrible.
It's amazing how much your health everywhere in your body is determined by your mouth health.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, have you ever talked to somebody who's had dentures? Ask them how they like them. They'll tell you they hate them.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Ask them if they like their lower denture. They will tell you the one they either never wear it, never fit, or they cannot eat with it. It's just dentures are the only answer to a problem that doesn't have a good solution.
Okay. Interesting.
And And it's all, you know, until implants, denture patients would just suffer. I mean that you can't really do much for them.
Interesting.
It's really unfortunate.
So outside of dentistry, and obviously you haven't said much about your family, you don't have to, you don't want to,
Oh,
but
sure,
what
yeah.
other passions do you have in life, or what other interests do you have in your life, or what other
Oh,
aspirations do you have in life?
for sure. You know, it's interesting. My patient asked me this the other day. He's like, "Oh, what do you do outside of school or dentistry?" And I'm like, honestly, for me to get to this level, I kind of dropped a lot of my hobbies a long time ago.
Okay.
A long time ago. Because in dental school, with it being so competitive, everyone wants to be number one. Um, I I had to give up, I played a lot of guitar and I have all that stuff in my basement and played a lot of music. I had to give up all that stuff because I I found that I was doing better if I put more time towards, taking more time to research and do literature and endo or a complete denture. It's just I don't do much outside of dentistry. I'm not gonna lie. I go home and we have dinner. I spend some time with the family and we do it all again the next day. I read on the weekends. It's not my life isn't very exciting.
It's okay.
It's not. It's really quite boring.
Well, the fact that you have a passion and a focus, I would argue that there's a lot of excitement. It just is it's
I get
driven
it.
in the
I
dentistry
get
world, not
excited by
necessarily.
doing dentistry,
Right.
like good
That's
cases from
amazing
start
though.
to finish.
Yeah.
Like when you do something and you're like, wow, I created this and it's good.
I'm betting most of the most successful people in the world, they found their excitement in the work they do, not in the distractions they
Oh
find, like
man,
watching TV
for
and
sure
things
you
like
have to.
that. So,
I don't know how you could do this if you didn't. It would be so, oh man, yeah, I don't think you would last.
so I appreciate this conversation, and I could keep asking you
Yeah.
questions for a long time, but I don't want to keep you all day.
No, it's
Is there anything else about yourself or your business or anything that we haven't talked about yet that you'd like to share?
Yeah, no, I suppose I have my wife works in IT. She works so she's really busy too. We both have like some, pretty successful careers. She doesn't like her job though. IT's not very fun. We have a 2-year-old daughter and then we have another child on the way here in April.
Congratulations.
Yeah,
When you do?
April 5th.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
nice. So
yeah.
both of our kids will be near. I
Oh,
got one due in August.
oh
So
really?
yeah, and
Yeah.
Grace one's 3.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, those are really close.
yeah, that's awesome.
No, yeah, and so know, we don't do much. We spend time with our child because, she works like, I don't know, 50, 60 hours a week. And then I don't know, we just spend time with each other, make dinner and go to sleep early, 8 o'clock, 8:30.
Nothing wrong with that.
I don't know. I
Simple
mean,
life's a happy life.
yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. It's not, it's funny because other people look at like, oh, what do you do on the weeknights? I'm like, honestly, we don't watch any TV at our house.
Okay.
We don't have the time.
Yeah.
And and so people are like, oh, can you come over at 10? I'm like, listen,
I'm
we're
sleeping.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
already in bed at 8:30. Like,
Yeah.
there's not much going on.
Nothing wrong with
So
that.
yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. Do you watch a
It,
lot of TV or no?
not really. If I'm
How do you
looking,
have time? Like, how do
right,
people have?
yeah. Turn the brain off once in a while, maybe watch a show with Brittany if we're having an hour together or something like that, but
And
not
it's crazy
too
too. Now
long.
that we're married with kids, like an hour is a lot of time to ask for in a marriage because, like, you got to make dinner, you got to clean up the kitchen, you got to spend time with your kid, and
Hmm.
their energy level is at 110 when you come home from work, and you're
Yep.
at like 50.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
like, and you're exhausted when they go to
Yep.
sleep.
Yep. Yep.
That's a daily thing.
Yeah,
That's
the one of the better pieces of advice I ever got was or I've recently got was from Shane Zetz a year ago.
oh
I
yeah.
asked him about work-life balance, and he won't be quote for quote, but he said something along the lines of there's no such thing as work-life balance in the world of successful people. It's called work-life integration.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like how do you integrate your children into the life that you live
Oh, I
because
totally believe
it
it.
requires more than 40 hours a week,
Oh, it's
right?
so true.
So
It's
I
so
was like,
true.
that's really good, and it gives you kind of permission to not feel bad about working more than most people, but that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that I have to add to that is like you want to be successful at work and you want to put in the time and the hours, but then like you feel bad when you get home and you're tired and your child is the one who loses out. And so like I try to push myself to have 80% energy when I'm at home and try to play with her because yeah, it's just crazy having kids.
Right. We never get that time back, right? 10 years can
Yeah,
go by
yeah,
fast.
yeah.
So with that, what's the best way to get in contact with you if people have dental questions, life questions, whatever it might
Yeah,
be,
for
or
sure.
maybe they want to become a dental hygienist for you
Oh
someday?
man,
What's the best way to get
that'd
a
be
hold of you?
amazing. Um, you can just send me an email or give me a Facebook message or even message our Moreno Dental Services page. My email is it's dougl240@umn.edu. You still have your U of M email?
I do. I actually just got a notification the other day. I got to change the password or it's going to be discontinued.
They're all gonna be closed in October.
That's fine. I don't really use it,
But yeah, you can just
and
give
why are
it
they
or
closed? No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
U of M
But
doesn't want to pay for Google accounts anymore.
makes sense.
Yeah, give us a call if you're interested in actually becoming a hygienist and want to learn more what we do at our office. We offer a ton of benefits. We offer a 3% bonus on net profit gain per month, paid
Nice.
quarterly.
Wow, good for you. That's
Big
awesome.
deal, big
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
We have every employee starts with 2 weeks PTO. We have office lunches on a every other week basis. We buy lunch for the office. Um, with new laws in Minnesota, you get paid sick leave now. We offer 48 hours a year. Let's see. Oh, and then we pay for your scrubs after 3 months of working. So I just bought new scrubs for the entire office.
Well, good for you. It sounds like you're rewarding your employees, which is smart. It's a good way to keep them around.
I mean, that's the only way, right? I mean, how do
Right.
you do it? They
Yeah.
have to have just like I have a passion in my work, they have to find a passion in theirs, otherwise everything becomes quite dull.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the work quality decreases. So
Yeah, for sure. And that's incredibly important. And so I don't know, I just got blessed with the team that I have. They're so good.
good. And if you have Facebook, he has some pretty interesting videos on the dental. What is it again? Moreno Dental Services
Yeah.
LLC. I don't know if the LLC is on there, but
No.
if you go to their Facebook page, he's got some pretty interesting videos. I was looking at a few of them where he's like walking through.
Oh, did you
fixing a
watch
mouth.
that?
Yeah. So
I did that once and I was like, I don't know if people are gonna like this.
it was interesting.
Yeah,
So
that was a
yeah.
simple filling.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're interested, definitely check that out. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for your time. Like I said before, please like and share this video to help support Tevin, but also maybe share, provide value to someone that you see. I think there's a lot of really valuable lessons today. Resilience comes to mind, hard work comes to mind, asking for help, and just overall working your butt off. I think applaud you for all of those aspects of your career thus far and wish you the best of luck. Also comment if you have questions for Tevin or myself, or request for future Money Not Math conversations, or if you'd like to have a Money Not Math interview with yourself someday, I'd be happy to do that. Always looking to provide value to good people. Last but not least, always remember this content is not legal, tax, or investment advice. You should always consult a legal or qualified professional regarding your personal situation. We are just having a conversation about our lives, not giving specific advice because we don't know who you are specifically. So if you have specific questions, see him or myself. All right. So thank you so much. Have a nice day, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.